8.
Good evening and welcome to the Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Phil Pompey. Tonight's segment is on scoring a track meet. One of the things I've noticed as a coach is how challenging it can be to keep track of the score throughout a track meet. And for a lot of our new athletes and parents, there's just a whole lot of questions about how the scoring works and ultimately how to win a meet. It doesn't seem to be an issue in other sports like baseball or basketball. When people leave the field or the court at the end of the day, everybody's very clear on who won and usually by how much. And so tonight I'm going to try to clear up just some basics on scoring a dual meet so that we can all be on the same page and hopefully be a little bit more informed and knowledgeable about our sport. Let's get started. Scoring a dual meet. What you're looking at is a score sheet between St. Francis and Stanford. I invented this meet. It's not one that actually happened, but just for the sake of this tutorial. This is what we use to score dual meets throughout the season. So there are 4 different divisions all happening at the same time. Varsity girls, JV girls, varsity boys, and frosh soft boys. Those are 4 unique competitions. So St. Francis could win all 4, lose all 4, split 2-2, whatever the case might be. I'm going to start and finish with a couple of key principles. Scoring is fairly simple, but there are some intricacies and some kind of unique scenarios that I'll go over as we're getting towards expert level scorers. So relays are scored 5 and 0. First place gets 5. Second place gets 0. Third place, not scored at all. All the individual events are scored 5, 3, 1. 5 for first, 3 for second, and 1 for third. The total number of points that a team could earn in a dual meet is 136. That would be a clean sweep of every single event and both relays. Rare to see a score like that. Just for the sake of humor, I gave Stanford's JV team 0 because most colleges don't have JV teams. So just so we could see what that would look like. There's 82 points available on the track, all 10 events, including the 2 relays, and then 54 points available in the field for 136. I'll walk you through a couple of unique scenarios over here on the varsity division. You see the relays highlighted and then a couple of the field events highlighted. So those are the ones we'll be going over. In this 4x1, we'll assume that Stanford has a better team because they're Stanford, but that maybe they dropped their baton or had an illegal exchange and so they were disqualified. And St. Francis would get those points if they were able to finish the race cleanly. The rest of the events, 3 scorers per, right? No matter how close 4th place is, they don't score any points. So 6-3 in the 1600 would mean Stanford went first and third. St. Francis picked up a 2nd place here. Just so that we're able to tally the total throughout the meet, I have a total row under each event. That helps us keep track of progress throughout the meet. Stanford swept the 100 hurdles, they sweep the 400, they sweep the 100. We sneak a 3rd place in the 800 for 8 points to 1, and then we end up 2nd and 3rd in the 300 hurdles to go 5-4 in that event. When we get down to the 4x4, we see Stanford came away with the victory and end up cleaning our clocks pretty good on the track, 60-22. The field events don't always go quite as smoothly in terms of scoring or in terms of the events finishing. The track kind of moves from event to event because there can only be one at a time, but multiple field events are going on at the same time. So it's hard to kind of get a running total of those. The long jump, we'll assume here that Stanford didn't
enter any athletes, and so St. Francis went 1, 2, 3. The triple jump here, there could be a number of different scenarios that would end up with a 5-0 score. But what this means is only the St. Francis finisher ended up with a clean mark, and there was no second or third place in this event. It's possible that they scratched all 3 attempts and therefore didn't get a clean mark and didn't score any points, or that they didn't have any entries at all. Those points don't go over to St. Francis. They don't end up with Stanford. They have to contest the event and get a clean mark in order to score. So in this meet, only 132 points would be awarded out of the 136 because of this odd scenario in the triple jump. In the high jump, maybe you've wondered how teams end up with a half point. So what can happen in the vertical jumps like high jump and pole vault is that there can be a tie, right? So if different jumpers are jumping at the same heights and they clear all the same ones, they miss all the same ones, we can end up with a tie. And so what happened here is that Stanford went 1-2 in the high jump, and then Stanford and St. Francis athlete tied for third. And so that 1 point is split between the two teams, so they each get a half point. The pole vault, even a little trickier here. 7-2 score means that Stanford ended up first, and then there was a tie for second place, and so nobody gets third, and instead the third and second place points are added together, so 3 and 1 makes 4. Those points are split evenly, 2 and 2, so St. Francis ends up with 2, Stanford with 2 plus their 5 gets them to 7. So if we total up the track and field points for this dual meet, Stanford wins handily, 93.5 to 38.5. Over here, St. Francis got the clean sweep on the JV squad. There are a couple more specific details about breaking ties that get a lot more complicated for championship or qualifying type events, so I won't go into those here. But hopefully that was a pretty clear and helpful tutorial about scoring. Just those same reminders from the beginning. Relays score 5-0, no points for second or third. Individual events go 5-3-1. Total points for a dual meet in California, specifically in our league, 136. That means the first team to 69 automatically gets the majority and wins the meet. We can end up with a 68-68 tie, which makes for quite an exciting dual meet.
Thanks for tuning in. I hope that was a helpful tutorial and that you leave feeling more informed and more knowledgeable about how to score a track meet. If you have suggestions or questions for upcoming segments, please put them in the comments below. And tune in next time for our segment on the importance of record keeping. Thanks so much. Signing off.